All right, my beautiful people. Heartbreak is one of those things where you're bound to run into it at some point in your life, right? Whether you're a man or a woman watching this video, and it's going to mess you up like really, really deeply to your core. Some people, you guys only had one heartbreak where if it was like your first love, like the person who took your V card, whatever the case may be. Other people, you had kids by these people. You've actually built really big families and you thought you had something and it all got stripped away from you, right? In this video, I really want to take this as like an opportunity to not only touch on the topic of heartbreak, but the things that you can be doing after the heartbreak or during that heartbreak in order to realign your life, man. For me, I went through a really turbulent heartbreak. I say about probably like 4 or 5 years ago, right? It was after about like a 3, 4 year relationship, I think. I'm probably losing track of, how long it was, but it was a very long-term relationship. And I believe it was with one of my high school sweethearts, right? And afterwards, during that heartbreak, it felt like everything was just crumbling around me. It felt like, I say this in a lot of my videos, I was losing friends, I was losing jobs, families started mess, like a lot of things just started becoming really turbulent right after I lost that relationship, right? But then in the process of me losing that relationship, I started businesses. I've met some amazing people. I've met more partners. I've made more money than I've ever made in my life. I've did a lot of things, and it was from the spark of that heartbreak, right? Now, if we were to actually look back at a lot of our heartbreaks in retrospect, there's usually a period of time where you're unpacking and you're unlearning, right? Once you get your heart broke, it typically makes you look at everything, especially if it was something like betrayal. It makes you read between the lines. It makes you stop looking at the surface level emotions and start getting to the core root of things. How did I end up here? That's a question that a lot of us start asking ourselves, what did I do to deserve this? What did I do? Like, God, why me? What it makes you get into this really self-reflective space. And in that self-reflective space, you're typically going to be highlighted very clearly the things that's wrong. You're going to start noticing, okay, maybe you're not the loyalist, right? Maybe you don't know how to communicate. Maybe you don't know how to be vulnerable. Maybe you don't, whatever the case may be, right? And you'll start seeing where your actions could have potentially played a fault or a part in that heartbreak, right? Which typically is going to make you want to go back, right? When the heartbreak first happens, you're already kind of receptive. You want to pull back. But then once you can get to the point where you're like, whoa, I can see that I was the reason why, it's going to make you want to double back again, right? It's going to make you want to reconciliate very quickly the moment you realize that it was a piece of you that, has something to do with it. Now, what typically happens is when you go back, if that person wasn't actually meant to be in your life and it was actually meant to play out the ways that it played out, when you go back, that person is not going to share that same energy and hold that level of accountability. There's going to always be some type of blame shifted towards you. It's always going to be like a one-sided interaction, which isn't ever going to be. You can never heal a relationship by avoidance. True healing always comes when both parties are taking complete responsibility and accountability for what they played in the relationship. If one person's only taking an accountability and the other person's just trying to let time heal all, it's not going to work. The problem is going to resurface. It's going to come back up, right? So once we get into this facet of going back, and then we can also start noticing as time usually heals too. Now, this doesn't happen for a lot of people, right? But if you're, more spiritual, empathic, you're very in tune to energy, when somebody's receiving karma for something that they did to you, you will always get insight of it. Whether it comes from just a download, you get it in a dream. Like, you don't even have to be doing anything crazy stupid. You feel me? Like a lot of people lighting candles and all that. You don't got to do any of that. If somebody's truly receiving karma for something that they did to you, the information is going to come through the grapevine. And sometimes it can even come out the horse's mouth. You get what I'm saying? They can sometimes come back and be like, hey, can I fix it? Like, I feel like I like, it's some real shit. When I started to piece back my relationships, when I had first got heartbroken, when I first got out of that relationship, there was a good amount of trying to get the person back, crying, pleading. Like, I was begging for my girl back. I'm not the type of dude who's going to sit here and lie and cap and all this other type of stuff. I got cheated on and begged for the woman back. It's heartbreak. We've all been there. If you lying if you say you haven't. Even if you didn't know she was cheating on you, you probably still begged for somebody back who wasn't yours. Like, you know what I'm saying? We all done slipped up. You feel me? But right after that, it was more of like, okay, I started thinking out mentorship. Like, I started talking to my papa. You feel me? I started talking to, people who were wiser, older than me, and like trying to ask them, like, how do I maneuver this emotion? What do I do? Like, how do I get myself out of this? How do I move forward? How do I let go? And one of the things that was passed down to me was writing. Now, journaling and having a diary is probably one of the most beneficial things that you can do when you're an overthinker or you're trying to heal deeply, right? Because there's only so much shadow work that you can do in your head, right? Because your thoughts is going to continuously be in a loop, and in that loop, you're going to start losing the train of thought, if that makes sense. Like the core root is going to be lost in the loop. So when you start writing, and it's, even if it's just free form writing, you just pick up the pen and paper and you start writing what comes to mind. You just start writing what's on your spirit, and then answering your own questions. Why do I feel like this? Well, I think I feel like this because of this. I saw this happen. Like you'll literally start talking to yourself. And in that, you'll start answering your own questions, because a lot of us are stupid. And a lot of the heartbreaks that we have, like I said in one of my TikToks, is a spiritual connection to your future. So if your future self already knew that this heartbreak was needed to get to a certain place, your future self also knew the lesson that was supposed to come from that heartbreak. Now, when you give yourself enough time to sit in it and try viewing it from a retrospective, point of view, yes, I'm going to sit in this. I'm going to heal. I'm not going to block the healing process, but I'm going to be consciously looking for the reasoning why. I'm going to be consciously looking for that silver lining. That silver lining is what literally changes your life. That silver lining is what literally takes you from fucked up to healed, and like in so many assets and so many facets, because you start understanding why certain things had to play out. Like for instance, I wouldn't have went to the school. I wouldn't have went back to school or anything like that if it probably wasn't for the heartbreak. You get what I'm saying? I probably wouldn't have started the business if it wasn't for that heartbreak and how it happened. I probably wouldn't have started the business that I did start, right? If it wasn't for the heartbreak. Now, fast forward, we have a healing business. We have a whole nother side business aside from the main one that just literally is meant to help people raise the frequency and just heal. That was a result of heartbreak. You see, heartbreak and purpose can somewhat coincide in one if you know how to use it. I'm the type of person, I wrote down in my journal, I was like, man, I love shadow work. Shadow work, I love getting deep, messy, and just real in the gutter in my emotions, and just understanding the depths of what's really inside of me. Because the deeper I can go with inside of myself and understand myself, the better that I'm going to be able to articulate, the better I'm going to be able to show up for the people that I love, the more courage and, just passion I'm going to have. I heal like a fucking king. And that's because I'm not afraid to step into my shadow. I'm not afraid to go into the depths of what I'm feeling and address it. I will go into the point where I damn near want to off myself, because I'm like, if there's a seed in me that wants to off myself, I want to pick that seed up quick. I'm not running from it. I'm that type of person. So when I see adversity start coming towards me, and I start seeing heartbreak, and I start seeing all these things coming towards me, I'm like, bring it on, because it's a very small chance it's going to break me. You're just going to give me more information. You're just going to give me more wisdom. You're just going to give me more knowledge, which is going to make me even stronger as a vessel, which is going to make my spirit even more potent, because I cannot be broken. Only God can break me. And if nothing around me is God literally smashing my shit, then nothing's. This is all experience. This is all for me to just, what's that saying? It's almost, I'm pretty sure it's in the Bible. Walk through the valley of shadow of death or something like that. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. It doesn't mean that the weapon's not going to fucking form. It means that it's not going to do nothing. We walk this path and we walk it with our head up. We walk it with our chest high, because we understand whatever is put in our path, even if it hurts us to our soul, our depths, it happened for a reason. And that process of letting go is going to allow you to become so steadfast in your progression, because it's not like you don't see the adversities. It's not like you're not getting hit with the adversities. The difference is you understand that one foot in front of the other is going to eventually get you to where you're wanting to get to, and the adversities never stop. I've had adversities when I was dead broke. I had adversities when I was stacked up. I've had adversities when I was single. I've had adversities when I was in relationships. They don't run away. I've had adversities at every single moment of the day. But we understand that adversity is not a character defect. Adversity is a natural flow of life. That's it. It's just life. And the quicker that you're like, okay, you know what? It happened. I understand. What is this showing me? What in me attracted this situation? Because I wouldn't have attracted it if something in me wasn't receptive to it. And what can I do to move forward to make sure this doesn't happen again? You eliminate the chances of that shit actually happening again. Because it's one thing to acknowledge what went wrong. It's a completely other thing to acknowledge what you could have did better and actually do it. So do not use your heartbreaks as like this end be all, like your life is falling apart and you can't bounce back. Your life may be falling apart, but in 20 years, 10 years, maybe even a year, you will see that the process of that heartbreak, like that, all of that destruction was building something up over here in quiet. God has that has this weird way of he will destroy everything in your face where you will have to sit there and look at it falling, but he's going to be behind the scenes building a whole nother empire. So while you're sitting there focused on each brick that's just falling off of this thing you put so much energy and time into, and you're like, damn, I'm watching it all crumble right in front of my face, right behind you there was a big ass skyscraper being built, and you weren't going to be consciously aware of that skyscraper until you finally accepted the fact that this was done and you turned away. But most people are not going to turn away and look at the blessings right behind their fucking face until every brick has failed and there's nothing left and they have no choice but to look somewhere else. For most people, that's the heartbreak. For most people, that's the person you love leaving. That's losing a loved one, where you have no other choice but to open your mind up. That's when the blessings happen, when your back is up against the wall. So, with that being said, I love you guys. I love you guys. This healing process is no joke, but it's always beneficial. And if you go into it with your chest up, chin high, like a soldier, you will see the other side of it. And I promise it will be the best thing you ever allowed yourself to heal through. That being said, I love you. We'll see you on the next video, man.